Today I'm going to do a little overview of my Sears Free Spirit bike with a bike bug motor mounted to it. I'm not going to go into the whole history of the motor, but they were made from the mid-70s to mid-80s and sold under a few different brands, one being Bike Bug, and sadly one other being Sears Free Spirit, which is sad because that would have been perfect for this bike, but I bought the motor before I bought the bike, so oh well, I guess. I picked up the bike for 40 bucks at a flea market. It only needed tires and the tab for this fender was broken off. I just had to make a new one, so not much work to get it back and running again other than greasing the bearings and stuff. The bike was made in July of 1983. Again, it was sold by Sears, but I did some research on it, but I don't know who actually manufactured the bike. At one point I think I read that it was Schwinn, but I'm not sure. If anyone knows, feel free to drop a comment. But I guess Free Spirit was Sears's bike line, because I also have this generator headlight kit that I found. It wasn't on there when I found the bike, but I put it on there, and it's also Free Spirit. But back to the bike, I'll get to the motor in a second here. So the brand is Free Spirit and the model is a Sheffield, and looking at pictures they had a few other models that shared this frame when it was made, and it's painted in this nice metallic blue with gold accents, and they have a few little logos or stickers. They have this one on the seat tube and this one on the chain guard, and I don't know what they mean, but when I first found this bike I didn't know what it was. I really thought it was a British or at least overseas bike just because of that sticker before I did my research. But it's a nice bike, it rides nice. It has a 3-speed hub, and the shifter I had to move to this side. It would have been on this side, but in its place I put the throttle for the motor. And one last thing before I get back to the motor, we have a tail light back here as part of that generator kit, and down here is the generator. It's spring loaded, and there's a little catch for when you don't want to use it. It has battery power as well as generator power. You actually have 2 bulbs in each light, one in each for battery power, and then the other one is for generator power. It automatically switches once you start pedaling. It's pretty cool. I have the 2 bulbs in the tail light, but I'm missing one for the headlight, and that's the battery power, so it only lights up when you're pedaling. And also I have a bell mounted right here. So getting to the motor, it's a friction drive motor. It's not driven by a chain or a belt or anything. It drives straight off the tire with a roller wheel, and I'm sure you can tell just by looking at it, it's modified a bit. That's actually a skateboard wheel, and if you're watching this and have one of these, you'll know, but they don't make these rollers anymore, at least not new. If you find them, they're new old stock, but even if they're new old stock, they're hard or falling apart. So that's the known solution, is putting a skateboard wheel on the hub. I also, apart from that, had to do some other modifications just because of unavailable parts. Another being the fuel primer bulb. It would originally have this right here, well, yeah, like that, to prime the fuel into the fuel pump. But if this will show, yep, it's old and brittle and formed cracks in it. So the first time I put fuel in it to go ride it, I went to prime the line and fuel sprayed out of it. So I had to rig this up. This is a weed eater primer bulb that I got at Home Depot, and I made a bracket to put that on there instead. And this brass piece was what went into here. So I left that in there and just ran the line straight to the bulb here and ran the line like it would have been normally. And as you can see, well, you can't see in the line, but it works. So that solved that problem. But another problem was the fuel pump was bad. When I took it on its first test drive, it worked, it started up, but when you get on the gas, it would lose prime. You could see it through the line, the air moving up, and when it got to the carburetor, it died. So it was pumping some, but not enough. So my solution for that was I ordered a fuel pump rebuild kit for a Briggs & Stratton riding lawnmower, and it was basically the same diaphragm material, the same thickness, but it was a big rectangle, and I just cut it to the shape I needed and it fixed that. It runs perfect now. And the only other things I had to do to get it running was sand the points, obviously. I greased this gear case and then replaced all of the fuel lines with regular lawnmower line. This one I left because I couldn't find another one that size. And lastly, I had to clean out the gas tank, and it was bad. I spent a week, I think, cleaning that out. I'll put a picture here of what was in it. Basically, that thick of sludge. I shook bolts in it, didn't do much. I soaked it, and that's how all that came out. And then some was still caked to the sides, and I had to scrape it off. But eventually I cleaned it out, and so that's all I did to it. And ever since then, it's been a good runner. And in a second, I'm gonna take it for a ride, but first I wanted to do a little overview of all the parts and how it operates. So again, this is the gas tank, and I don't know if I can see it, but yeah, I can't really see it, but it goes into the fuel pump down there and up into the carburetor, and it's a floatless carburetor. And this is the air filter. Right here is the choke lever. Right here is the actual engine, and you have a gear case that takes the power out to the roller. Spark plug. And this is the muffler, but you also have what the manual calls a sub muffler mounted down here to the axle nut. And the motor mounts to the forks with these two arms and with this rod to the axle nut, and this rod is adjustable right here, so you can change the height of the roller and where it sits to get the right grip on the tire, so that way it's not slipping, but it's also not too tight. And this lever lets you engage or disengage the roller from the tire. When it's down, the roller is up and off the tire, and the engine can spin freely and you can pedal freely. When you throw it up, the roller comes down and meets the tire, and the engine is now engaged to the tire. So when you want to start it, you pedal with it down and you get up to speed, and you throw the lever up. The tire spins the roller, which spins the engine. And once the engine starts, you open up your throttle and you're on your way. So starting it's pretty simple. And then once you want to come to a stop, you just throw the lever down and the engine's disengaged. And lastly, right here is your kill switch. So that's the overview of the bike and how it operates and how these motors operate. So now let's go for a little ride. Just to show you how easy this starts up, I can touch it, so the motor's cold. And bear with me, I'm gonna try to do this the best I can with one hand. I don't have any way of mounting my phone anywhere. But here we go. I ran out of road. Well, that's how she operates. Top speed is about 20 with this size of a roller, and my usual cruising speed is about 15, so it's not fast, but it's a fun cruiser. Well, that concludes the overview of my Free Spirit Buck Bug bike. I hope you enjoyed, and if you have one of these motors or are looking into getting one, hopefully all of my info helped, and thank y'all for watching.